if there's ever a hearing that contrasted the two parties, it would be this. With this side interested in expanding corporate power, both the power of the company that would franchise to others, as well as the power of the union over the individual making her own decision, this is a bill that draws that contrast. My staff gave me we should call this the Consolidation of Corporate Power Act, which the alliteration being CCP, with all the kind of implications of that. By the way, there's some really specious logic in here. All due respect, Mr. Pierce. Somehow in your discussion of the origins of right to work, you suggest that it's somehow embedded in racism, that the current practice is embedded in racism. I'll tell you, my state, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, Mississippi, right to work states, have the highest percents of African Americans in the nation. The ability to attract good-paying jobs with right-to-work laws has created untold economic opportunity for people of all races, but certainly those who are of color. Now, my gosh, we could say, no, you just go ahead and stay up north, where the unions traditionally discriminated against blacks. Instead, we opened up the laws, people moved south, and now folks who formerly didn't have jobs have great paying jobs. Not because they're unionized, but because that's industry standard. Yes, Dr. Sherholtz, I'm reading this thinking, you know, I'm a doctor, I'm not an economist, but in medicine we contrast between association and causation. The fact that union membership has fallen and income inequality has risen, in many respects has no relationship whatsoever, if I may. It's clear that what has happened is that the number of unionized manufacturing jobs has declined. Those of the service industry, SEIU, has greatly increased. Because those manufacturing jobs have declined, in part because companies move manufacturing overseas, because inflexible work rules created a cost disadvantage over factories, manufacturing plants that were located overseas. You can make the case that right-to-work laws have actually created the opportunity for manufacturing to remain in the United States because it's not just the wage, it is also the inflexibility of work rules that make it difficult. One example of this, and I love your opinion on this, we're speaking about how union laws make things so much safer. You know, there's federal employees that didn't work for 14 months. They didn't work from home. They didn't work in the office. We paid billions in salaries to people who didn't work for 14 months. So I'd call the supervisor. I can't get a passport for someone. Why are they not working? Well, the union won't agree to work rules. Wait, the union won't agree to work rules? Yes, they won't agree to the PPE requirements that would allow people to come in and work safely in order to process passports. And so therefore, we've got this backlog for however long. You know, you want to take your, apparently there's a lot of people that want to get married in Turks cacao. And so my office had to handle a lot of those. Done by supervisors. May have changed now. 14 months, unions objected to that. Those are the kind of work rules that increase cost. And if it's not the taxpayer who just kind of sucks it up and takes it on the chin, if it is a manufacturing plant, they move elsewhere. I kind of dispute this notion that we're getting all this value add from this insistence on safety. By the way, I thought we had OSHA guidelines that kind of demanded safety. I thought OSHA, if not, we better go after the OSHA people if they're not doing their job. One example, I'll just say this, your figure A, showing income inequality as union membership. Think about your hospital. Your major hospital in New York City, that CEO is probably making $5 million. Totally unionized workforce, totally unionized. And yet there's no relationship between she or he making $5 million, or maybe more. I'm probably being conservative for, hope I'm conservative all the time, but conservative for a New York CEO of a hospital, relative to what the, you know, it's all unionized. Again, just because you have an association doesn't mean a causation. We have been evolving from a manufacturing to a service industry, and as that happens, union membership has disproportionately moved to the public sector.